Hello best learners, this is Mustafa here at Learn with the Best, and today we're going to be discussing Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Law number 37, create compelling spectacles. In this video, I'm going to define the law for you, then we'll look at a few scenarios that perfectly encapsulate this law. And then I'll give you an example from my own life where I learned the power of this law on the spot in a faraway land. Here's the law. Striking imagery and grand symbolic gestures create the aura of power. Everyone responds to them. Stage spectacles for those around you. Spectacles full of arresting visuals and radiant symbols that heighten your presence. Dazzled by appearances, no one will notice what you're really doing. This law can be a little confusing, but what it's really trying to convey is the power of nonverbal communication. It is said that 90% of all communication is nonverbal. What you take in through the sense of sight is much more powerful than the words that are passed through a person's lips. Say, for example, we're in a hypothetical World War III. Your country needs you to fight, and a 19-year-old soldier has come to your home to recruit you. He's got a baby face, he looks scared, and he looks like he's not even sure that he should be in the fight himself. Will you join the armed forces if this guy asks you to? Heck no. But on the other hand, let's say a soldier like David Goggins shows up to your home. He's fully dressed in uniform, decked out with all of his badges and medals shining brightly over his bulging manly pectorals. Just glancing at this guy once, you can tell that he's seen some horrible things and he's gotten through it all. Additionally, he has two soldiers with him holding up the American flag. Without him even saying a word, you feel the rush through your body, the emotion boiling. You know your country needs you. A look of determination sets into your eyes, and you are ready to go. This is the power of the nonverbal, the power of creating compelling spectacles. Once upon a time, the Italian Renaissance painter Fra Filippo Lippi and some of his friends went sailing in a small boat off of Ancona, Italy. There, they were captured by two large ships which hauled them off in chains and sold them into slavery. For 18 long months, Filippo toiled with no hope of returning to Italy. On several occasions, Filippo saw the man who had bought him, and on one fateful day, he decided to sketch this man's portrait using nothing but burnt coal from a fire. Still in chains, he found a white wall where he drew a full-length likeness of his owner. Soon enough, word spread. The owner heard of this and went to see the drawing. He was so pleased that he instantly gave Filippo his freedom, with the condition that he would be employed in the man's court. All of the men in the area came to see magnificent color portraits that Filippo proceeded to create. And finally, in gratitude for the honor that Filippo had brought to the small town, Filippo's owner returned him safely to Italy. Filippo could have begged and pleaded with his owner. Instead, he used non-verbal communication. He took action, and he used his skills with what little he had to work with. Filippo understood the power of the nonverbal, and he used it to his full advantage in order to gain his own freedom. Now let's look at an example from my past where I learned the power of this law. But before we do that, I want to shamelessly plug my course into the middle of this video because that's what you're supposed to do as a YouTuber. If you want to transform yourself from a lamb to a lion, then check out my course pinned in the top comment below. I teach you the importance of time and how you can manage your time in order to achieve your dreams and your life purpose. Let's be honest here, the majority of the population are sheep. taking part in the 9-to-5 rat race of life, not enjoying their work and never fulfilling or even finding their life purpose. You go to work, you come home, you eat a pizza, you watch the newest TV show, and day by day, month by month, decade by decade, your life passes you by, and you've never achieved your goals in life. So let me be your sensei. I will give you the tools that you need for success. But keep in mind, this is not a magic pill, and it will require hard work on your part. You have to follow what I teach, and you have to put in the work on yourself on a daily basis. So if you're interested, then again, check out my course pinned in the top comment below. Okay, let's get back into it. Using words to plead your case is often risky because the words that pass from your lips could have a completely different meaning from those same words that are entering the receiver's ears. If you have to plead your case with words, then you are already on the defensive and your power is in question. On the other hand, the visual short-circuits the labyrinth of words, and it strikes with an emotional power that leaves no gaps for reflection and doubt. So, some years ago, when I was in Japan, my itinerary for one particular day was to visit Himeji Castle, and then I was meeting a girlfriend in Osaka for the evening, about an hour away. After having left Himeji Castle, I took the wrong train and ended up in a town somewhere that I had no idea where I was. So now I had to take the quickest train to Osaka, but the question was, which train do I take when I can't read the Japanese signs? So I was alone and I was afraid, but thankfully I was not naked. I was at a train station where there weren't many people. There were no train station employees at this particular stop, and I absolutely could not take the wrong train again because it could potentially take me even further away from where I currently was. So I saw a cute girl waiting for a train, maybe 20 years old, and so I went up to her and I just started talking in English like a dummy. I could see the fear in her eyes. I was a foreigner, maybe more than twice her size, in a small little town while the sun was setting, speaking to her in a language that was not her own. I was stressed, I was worried, and I was afraid. The moment that she saw me, all of my negative emotions had spread to her like an aura. I quickly understood that I had created a bad scenario here, so I physically took a step back. Then I bowed down to her, which is the traditional thing to do in Japan to show someone respect. And then I looked at her again and I smiled. I put my right hand up and I greeted her. I said konnichiwa and I pointed to myself and I said Mustafa, indicating that my name is Mustafa. I no longer saw the fear in her eyes, and instead she smiled brightly back to me and she introduced herself. I do understand Japanese a little bit, so when she asked me where I was going, I told her that I was going to Osaka. We talked a little bit, but again, my Japanese isn't very good, so I kind of fumbled through the conversation. But most of the communication was the non-verbal, and then she physically took my hand and placed it in hers, and she walked me over to the correct spot where I was to wait for the train to Osaka. We both smiled and bowed to each other, and then we parted ways. You know, it was a brief moment in time that I will never forget, because in that short encounter, I learned how powerful the nonverbal truly is. If you look at everything with fresh eyes, you will see this law at work every day. The guy in the suit and tie wearing a Rolex and driving a BMW, he's a guy that is non-verbally communicating his status. The 24-year-old American man that I ran into in Japan at a sushi restaurant, he had an old, dirty backpack and worn-down clothes. He's non-verbally communicating the fact that he's young, free, and traveling the world. He may not have a lot of money, but he does have enough to travel and to eat sushi. So now, having learned the power of this law, observe everything. Take it all in with your eyes and understand the nonverbal communication that is taking place all around you. If you like my YouTube content and you want to support the creation of even more content, then please check out my Patreon link pinned in the top comment below. I upload new videos every Friday for my Patreon subscribers that go deeper into my life regarding the 48 laws of power. These videos are a bit more raw and untamed than my usual videos here on YouTube. And if you're a patron of mine already, then I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because it's people like you that make all of this truly even possible in the first place. Thanks, and I'll see you next time for Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power, Law number 38.